Welcome back to GBGuns. We've got the TP9 Elite Combat back from the range. Range went a little bit differently this time. I'll explain more on that in a second. So took this guy out for our standard battery of tests, being the full mag +1 and the what's for dinner. And then some impressions from Maddie, and then impressions from myself, which we'll get afterwards. What we did not get around to was the cool slow motion part and the grouping of 5 shots from 7 yards using the Nosler match ammo. That's because of weather and time constraints. And you know, I sat and waited, and I was gonna wait till I had it all to publish the video. Also show you the holster bit that I forgot in the tabletop by doing some draws. And, well, weather, low daylight up here in the north, and other restrictions like that meant that we couldn't quite do it that way. So I will show you this holster. So you notice the lock system here is different. See how it brings that tab up? So it's grabbing onto the trigger guard the same way that the Serpa-styled holsters were before. But of course the problem with the Serpa-style holsters was that you had to push down as you pulled out, and that would bring your finger right to the trigger. It was kind of about here-ish that you were grabbing. This is a slide, and it's kind of a neat setup. Finger catches that, and the gun comes out like that with your finger going right to the memory spot. See that? But it is full retention locked in there otherwise. So I think that's pretty neat. Smart system. Cool design. Praise to Canik and Sentry for getting that right. The gun, of course, well, as far as how it performed, I'm going to make you guys wait to see that while I clean this guy up. And then, you'll, of course, after the what's for dinner, here's some thoughts from Maddie. And then I'll give you my thoughts on the TP9 Elite Combat.
All right, everybody's been waiting for this. The Canik with Salient parts in it. The TP9 Combat Elite full magazine +1. We're going to start off the +1 out of the regular magazine, and then use our extended magazine for the full mag. So there's going to be a lot of rounds. This trigger is pretty sweet. Let's see how quickly I can shoot this. So we're not really worried about hitting things. Just how's the gun run? I can see by the loaded chamber indicator up top that's popped that the round's in the chamber. We have our striker indicator on the back letting us know the gun is ready to go. So let's do it. Range is fine, and I do want to mention that was, I took the box out of my pocket. Fiocchi 115 grain ball ammo. But what's important about that is that was 115 grain. This gun is fresh out of the box, didn't even add oil to it, and it ran. So all of you that are concerned about Canik's only running 124, you just saw this thing burn some 115. Here's our what's for dinner lineup for today. We start with 158 grain, and we go all the way down to 65 grain. You can pause to check the label and type of each of these rounds. As always, we'll be doing 3 rounds of each type. We've got full metal jacket, snub-nosed, hollow points, steel case, aluminum case, nickel-plated, and regular brass. First round from slide lock, will it pick up and feed? Then does it create enough energy to cycle the gun for the second round? The third round is a bonus just to verify, and then we'll move on. What's for dinner? Start off super heavy, some PPU 158 grain. Stuff is obviously meant for running with the suppressor on, which we don't have on this gun, but see how it runs anyways. Now I'm not getting slide lock here, but I think it's probably my thumb resting on the release here. We'll see. I'm going to consciously try to avoid that in the future. Next up, another subsonic load. This is a MagTech bonded first defense. This stuff is 147 grain hollow point. Keep that thumb off the slide lock. There we go. Next up, a light for its weight. Doesn't really make sense. 124 grain suppressor load. I say that because typically 124 grain is not subsonic, and these are loaded to subsonic pressure, which means it could be a little too soft for this gun. Nope. by popular demand, the Federal HST 124 grain. Pardon the mud, had a little fumble there, and it's wet out here. Remington HTP High Terminal Performance. This is a 115 grain hollow point. So now we're on to standard bullet weight. Spear Gold Dot 115 grain hollow points. Federal Aluminum 115 grain. These are full metal jacket. Now aluminum we choose because it expands a little more than brass does, and so sometimes in tight chambers like a match grade barrel it doesn't always run. Not the case here. Now some tool ammo, 115 grain full metal jacket. Steel case we go for because it doesn't expand as much as brass, and sometimes has a little extra friction in the chamber walls. Ran. Now some heavy shot 100 grain. This is a frangible non-toxic load out of right here in Oregon. Light for caliber. It got in there. That was so quick I didn't think it chambered, but loaded chamber indicator popped up. Little too soft for this gun, it appears. Didn't lock back, and we did have that one failure to eject. Some Winchester Super Clean. How clean? Super clean. 90 grain. This is snub-nosed zinc core. It didn't like the 100. Will it take the 90? Yes, but you might have noticed that ejection, it was barely coming out of the gun. So in a softer wrist, that might not cycle. And the lightest we have, the Inceptor RMP. This is a 65 grain, super high velocity. This is one of those composite projectiles. Feeds just fine. And once again, the ejection barely made it out of the gun, and it didn't lock the slide back.
That one hit me right on the head. Oh, initial response. I like the gun. It has a good weight to it, a good feel to it. Like the way that the trigger pull is, it's a very short reset. Very short, almost non-existent. I mean, you have to really have a finesse to your finger to even notice when that click hits. So I can see where this would be an ideal gun for competition shooting and things like that. Probably not something that I would recommend as someone who's never fired a gun before, just because you'd want to have a little bit more to show them where the wall is going to be. One thing I can say, I love these sights. Oregon, overcast, rain, this is what it's like here 90% of the time, and you can see this. So even with my sunglasses on, I can see this sight beautifully against the kind of rocky background that we have out there. So very nicely done.
So hopefully that showed to you that this gun runs, and runs well. I was quite frankly impressed that it did so well in the What's for Dinner test. Still, and this is just, I'm guilty of this just as I'm sure many of you are, after the early TP9s and their sensitivity to loads below 124 grain, it's taken me some time to come to expect a TP9 to run that well. The trigger is quick. I don't think that this trigger shoe is anything other than a different shoe. Now it offers a different feel. It is certainly a flat face. You can see there. And it's got that real short reset that lets you run it real quick. We do have this funnel here for the mag. Was it necessary? I don't think so. But for me, similar to when I put the L2D magwell on my Glock 19, I appreciate it getting my fingers away from the magazine insertion. See how my pinky lines up right across that bottom there? So that magwell what it does is it means I can jam this in without fear of smashing my pinky skin. Whereas without that mag well there, my pinky would be resting right up against the edge, and this little flare of flesh would end up getting mashed in there. So for large-handed people, it's definitely a plus. Gun ran great. Didn't put a can on it, didn't put optics on it, just shot it the way it came. As far as accuracy, haven't had a chance to shoot that yet. If you want to see that, let me know. According to the statistics on most of the videos, y'all don't watch that far anyways. So that had me kind of reconsidering putting it on there and using that very nice nozzler ammo for casual YouTube videos instead of just for my articles. Let me know what your thoughts are and what you'd like to see. We still have this around for a while, so we'll take it out and do some more shooting with it when we can, if that's what you all want. Thanks for watching.